Now that the Calgary Flames have traded away Jacob Markstrom, the organization should most definitely look into acquiring another goaltender, not only to fill out some numbers, but also to provide some veteran leadership and guidance for the young Dustin Wolf. And in this video, we will be looking at some good options for Craig Conroy to sign in free agency to fill the void. But before we get into that, I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I am Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. But let's rock right in. Two Flames need to add a goalie. And I know a lot of people are thinking, well, why do we need to add a goalie? We just want to, fully dive into the Dustin Wolf wagon. Give me an ow woo. Let's howl it up. And yes, trust me, I believe the plan is to go with Dustin Wolf and of course have Dan Vladar in there as well as the backup. But there is still a need for a third string goaltender, not just to always be down in the AHL, but of course it is important to have one for more than one reason. And we're going to be diving into an article here, and this one comes from the Win column, and it is written once again by James Johnson. This channel is almost becoming a James Johnson fan club at this point, but all credit due to him for the content in this article here. And here's the title of the article: looking at third string goalie options for the Calgary Flames in free agency, because that is exactly what they need going into free agency. I'd say arguably that's one of the only things that they absolutely do need is another, a third string goalie, we can say. We don't necessarily need to add any big names in free agency. It would be cool, but this is the one absolute need. So the NHL has transitioned to requiring 3 goalies in case of injury or poor performance. We saw this in Toronto with Woll, Samsonov, and Jones, and in Detroit with Husso, Lyon, and Reimer as 2 examples. Ilya Samsonov's performance dipped, so he was sent to the AHL to find his game, so Jones filled the position in the meantime. Detroit's crease was riddled with injury troubles, and Alex Lyon, brought in to be the third goalie, played 44 games with the Red Wings, the most by any Detroit goalie by a wide margin. So it shows having a third string goalie can be very, very important. And now that the NHL does require having that many goalies in the case of an injury or poor performance or whatever you want to chalk it up to, the Flames really do need a very good third string goalie. And why not go after someone with a little bit of veteran presence and some leadership in order to give some guidance to the young Mr. Dusty Wolfie? And that is exactly what we will be looking into. So let's take a look at some options here. Who is out on the market? Now, in this article, there were 5 goalies named. I'm not going to go over all 5. There are actually a lot of names dropped in this article. If you want to go check it out, please be my guest. It is on the Win column. But either way, we will be taking a look at 3 that I think could be reasonable fits for the Calgary Flames out of these 5. I mean, all of them make sense, but these ones I thought were maybe the best 3 of the bunch. And let's start with Phoenix Copley, not spelt like the city, which is more spelt like Phoenix, but Phoenix Copley. So Copley was resurgent in 2022-23 when he started 37 games for the Kings, putting up a crazy 24-6-3 record. So underrated. He was my starting fantasy goalie at the time. Thank goodness for him. He was a major factor in the Kings, even making the 2022-23 playoffs, where once again, they were they were better last year against the Oilers in the first round than this year. In 2023-24, however, Copley struggled out of the gate and only saw 8 games with the Kings before sustaining an injury. Copley had successful ACL surgery in early January. So he's healthy now, and he might be a bit on the outs in LA. I mean, we saw the trade that they just made acquiring Grubauer, so LA really has no need for Copley. He could go to free agency, and it's not a bad place for him to end up being Calgary, of course. Let's take a quick look at his career numbers here. I know the goalie tables from HockeyDB are not quite as nice as the ones for the regular skaters, but we're more so focusing on the stuff where my head is almost blocking down on the right side there. But as you can see, his record in the NHL is crazy. 44, 16, and 8. Not the greatest save percentage, just under 900, but a 283 goals against average isn't all that bad in today's NHL. I mean, really, it's pretty good. And either way, he has put up some great numbers in the NHL. It's great that he is healthy now, and he could be such a good option for the Calgary Flames. The only thing that he doesn't have a lot of is experience. So he can't provide tons of guidance towards Wolf. But look at the way he's bounced between the NHL, AHL since almost the past decade, pretty much, with St. Louis, Washington, and LA. I'm sure he has a lot of valuable tidbits for young Wolfie that he can provide him. And this is not a bad option at all. I do not hate it. Now let's get into the next option here, which I'm going to say might be one of the best ones, just in terms of being a veteran third string goalie. And let's talk about Martin Jones. Thornton Martin, as he's called. As mentioned previously, Jones split time between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Toronto Marlies as the third string goalie. He was solid when called upon. The former Calgary Hitman netminder has started 466 career starts, but has seen a decreased amount of starts year over year. If the Flames want to give their goalies real competition in training camp, Jones feels like the guy. He has plenty of experience. And I really like what was added in the article here of bringing in that kind of competition factor, because Martin Jones probably is still good enough to compete. I mean, in a locker room that involves just Wolf and Vladar currently, I know you can throw in some of the Wranglers guys. Let's face it, they won't really be coming up. But to throw in Martin Jones and bring in that competition is very, very true, because Martin Jones easily has the best sort of career and resume on him out of most of the free agent goalies this summer. And sort of fitting this role, he easily has the best. Now, just as a reminder, let's hop into these career stats. So as it said before, he's played 466 games, but he has quite the resume. He does have a winning record, 236 wins, 171 losses, 36 OT losses. Not bad at all. He does have that over 900 save percentage and a 271 goals against average. Pretty good stats. It's almost shocking that he hasn't been used more ever since he left San Jose. Now, as you can see up there at the very top left, he did win the Cup in 2014. We all remember when Martin Jones carried the LA Kings to the Stanley Cup that year, don't we? That's definitely what happened. But the more impressive year, I guess we can say, was that 2015-16 season where he carried the San Jose Sharks to the Stanley Cup final. Yes, they did end up losing to Pittsburgh. It didn't really seem like they were ever going to win that Cup final, but either way, it was so impressive, and that goes so under the radar because so many people forget. I personally knew that it was Martin Jones just because I've liked him since he was on the Hitmen, but you ask a casual, hey, who was the goalie for the Sharks when they went to the final in 2016? You will hear a plethora of answers, and most are incorrect. But either way, Martin Jones, not a bad option at all for the Flames to sign. He won't be super expensive. He might not be looking for all that much term. It's not a bad option at all. I truly think this is the best option out of the options we have here. But we will take a look at one more. So let's take a quick look at Chris Driedger, another former Calgary Hitmen goalie. Driedger spent the 2023-24 season with the Coachella Valley Firebirds, AHL affiliate of the Seattle Kraken. Yes, they beat out the Wranglers in the playoffs. Maybe I'm a bit salty towards Chris here. Driedger had spent the previous 3 seasons as a backup and a really good one with the Panthers and then the Kraken. Unfortunately for Driedger, he suffered an ACL injury in 2022 and hasn't been the same since. However, he was rehabbed well and produced fantastic numbers with the Firebirds. And he really, really did. He's been super, super solid. And honestly, I actually have a funny story about Driedger. Let's pull up his stats while I tell it. As you can see here, he started his career with the Ottawa Senators. And I remember there was a day where I went to the Sens versus Flames game at the Dome with my dad. And hilariously, the Flames fan base, the crowd, of course, the Sea of Red, were chanting Dion, Dion. And the guy beside me said, what are they chanting? Are they chanting the Sens goalie name, Driedger, Driedger? No, sir, it was all about the double Dion then. I couldn't believe he thought we were really chanting at the Sens third string goalie. Either way, it was absolutely hilarious. But if we dive into the numbers, what actually matters here, as you can see, the NHL numbers are quite standard. I mean, 31, 24, and 5 as a record, a well over 900 save percentage, which is nice, and a sub 250 goals against average. Statistically, he is obviously the best goalie out of the 3 that have been shown in this video, but not the most NHL experience, as you can see. But again, not a bad option. Just like Martin Jones, he'd probably be comfortable playing in Calgary. He's done it here before, back in the junior days in the WHL. And Driedger, as it was said in the article, has been a solid backup. He could potentially be, any of these guys could be a better backup than Dan Vladar potentially. and could really create some competition, which will just make our goalies even better. And that's all we could want for Wolfie. Martin Jones can probably provide the most veteran knowledge, especially when it comes to winning when it matters, to guys like Wolf and everyone else in the locker room. But any of these guys I think would be great for Wolfie. Let me know who you think is the best option, or if there are others that come to your mind that you would like to see, of course. Now let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day, and this one goes with yesterday's video about some potential trades, and of course involved Andrei Kuzmenko. A lot of people do not want him to go, and I thought this was a great way to put it up by our regular around here, the General. If we trade Kuzmenko, I might riot, because Kuzi has the potential to be an elite sniper for us long term. Also, Mark, you're a beauty. They didn't have to say that. Come on. And I encourage you to make fun of tree living as much as possible. LOL. Yes, I know I kind of do want to make fun of tree living, but look at this. What if Boston Pizza wants to sponsor the channel? I can't show them what I've been saying about Brad. We can't let that happen. But either way, I do sincerely appreciate the comment. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you like what you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.